Everything in this is never financial, investment, or trading advice of any kind. Everything is just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I eat red crayons for breakfast. Trading in the markets carries substantial risk. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, and especially be aware against high leverage trading. We're looking at some cryptocurrencies, and in our previous video it did not record, so I'm going to show some of those videos from our session that was on Monday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Let's jump into this. I was looking at Drift. On Drift, we were seeing that there was a sword cut here. We were identifying a flat on the high 2 weekly charts, and that was quite nice. Price was receiving a lot of pressure there, and we saw that in the volume, there was still a lot of volume here. So we're actually going to be looking at 93 cents as an important number for 93. And then we're going to be looking there. Weakness appears after 56 cents. The whole area is at a giant health, and that was something we had looked at and pointed out. So we see the professional selling here, but remember, when the volume is increasing, that means that the absorption has not taken place. We're going to be looking to challenge a little bit higher if we can in the future to above 93 cents will be a very strong, important indication of that. We looked at ADA. We saw there was still a large uptrend in the higher time frames, and then we started accelerating quite nicely after those days. We're accelerating on this white line here with supports along that track for ADA. That's going to be closer to, I think that's going to be closer to 70 to 60 to 70s down here. We also see that we're up along a parabolic curve, and 83 cents at the time should be approximately where the support is, and we're seeing the candles showing signs that price is trying to survive in those areas. We also have a sharp down move, and we could also have duplicated that down move to give us some type of base of support. So if we receive some weakness, this would be the next event line / your phantom key angle based on this. We're going to be looking for those to be important markers for ADA. For virtual, and by the way, we have some much higher numbers for ADA, so we're going to be looking to get to 141, 117, 113 in the future, and we're still in a larger uptrend, remember, with lots of health safety nets to go the big green and some lower sword cuts down here. So we got some good places on our map, and weakness in here would bring us down. Health above here would bring us up. We already hit our target of HB1. HB2 is what's left, and that's where I believe we're going to be getting to after things settle from this current oscillation for ADA. Virtual's crypto, we were looking, we saw some professional buying, but we also saw a lot of selling going on in that crypto. And then we saw that we had some smaller hidden buying that started going on here after those days of buying and after the weakness occurred here. And we saw that sword cut is not being so respected as well. It was respected on the bottom for several weeks and then at the top, but then not so respected anymore. We do have this large down move, which would indicate where the health is. We need to look, and we see some smaller hidden, almost mechanical, very flat volume, which also encompasses hidden buying in it. When you see that it's almost flat in certain areas, especially if there's a support area, look for hidden buying. We would definitely want to see more of the support so we can make a measurement, but most of the move is done with virtual, and we know that virtual had a large professional buying, and the move was 16,000%. So that was a huge move. I recorded that because I wanted you guys to see that there's such percentage that you'll see when the buying campaigns actually take place. Very large rising volume on the down moves when the volume, especially if the candles are moving to the right and up into health. And here we move to the right after the down move and into health. Now those shakeout bars are definitely to weed out the weaker holders, and that happens both at the lower phases and at the distribution phases when the move is done. Ultimately, I believe that Virtual's distribution phase has not taken place, but rather price has rested and more of that small flat mechanical buying is coming in. It's very algorithmic, which is becoming more and more common nowadays. Just the computer systems, they'll automatically buy just like flat. So it's very, very telling when you see it here that there's a type of manipulation. What's needed for virtual is a health. Okay, it's definitely needed a health and it'll be telling. Here's another look at virtual on the MAXC exchange. We can see some of the more recent weakness apart from just that yellow weakness I just showed you guys here. There's another weakness using that swing as a bottom. The energy center's approximately going to be right here where I'm moving my mouse. Then we can see that after doing target system, this is where the target should be. So price is still hovering above here, which is why we still need that health. 134, look for 134, and then after that we're going to be looking for a strong shakeout of 425. And the reason I said we're going to have a strong shakeout is because we have a very large volume on the up move here, which means there was a lot of sellers here. Now this small area may be some hidden buying, but it doesn't negate that there was some people willing to take some strong profit here. So if you have buyers that are very close to that exit and you have sellers that are very close to that exit, we're going to be looking for things to be very messy near those prices, and that number is going to be around $4.25. So once you get to 4.25, I would not be surprised if you see some very strong volatility there. I don't think it's going to be enough to knock prices down into another weakness or a crash. In my opinion, I don't think that's going to happen because there's buying that seems to be taking place, the small buying here and small buying here, in my opinion. So that's where I'm going to be looking to just get there and then get a shakeout, and we'll need another behavior after 4.25 for virtual, a crypto that's already moved up 16,000%. The next crypto we looked at was BNBFROG. Now, I tell people this all the time. I don't like BNBFROG. I don't like it because it's very untrackable. It's very hard to try to get all of the... It's really hard to see it without strong professional buying in the background. We do have one set of buying that we identified. We got a strong volume on the down bars, which is going to be right here, and then move us into health. And we talked about this on Saturday. This is a 12-hour chart. This is about the only buying that I can see, the professional buying that's on this crypto, and it's a good thing that we have this. Also, we can see that the volume is decreasing at the subsequent challenges before the health, and that would often indicate that we are, especially if we're trading at around the flat areas here and there's almost no volume, we can tell that there's absorption that has happened here. So this is where this is good for this crypto, and we're coming up along a parabolic type of move. So we're going to be looking for this one to bring into a health above these areas right above here, and that looks like it's about the all-time high. So it closes above there is actually going to be health. Apart from that, I just don't like it because it's not on the exchanges to give me a solid look. But this 12-hour chart that we looked at on Monday did tell us there was some buying that happened in the background. The other things I don't like about it is the very large up bars on ultra high volume. Now those volume right now, at the time of yesterday, at the time of the recording, we were on this red candle right here, and we were already rejecting against the sword cut here, and we have a very high volume on that bar. When we see that the volume is decreasing, sometimes that means that the absorption is taking place and the sellers will win. Ultimately, we want to have the closes strongly above the old lows, and this is calculated right now around 1803. It looks like 1803 is really what we want to be, and the support 1906. So 1803, 1906. And if you look at, we'll pull up DEX tools and I'll show you guys the current. I got a notification for BNBFROG, and because it's, in my opinion, I would think that there's other cryptos that are going to be more stable, that are very prophetic. I'm not saying BNBFROG's not going to do well. It's going to do well because of the prophetic stuff that's going on. But in my opinion, I really think something like the WikiCat is going to be more desirable when it comes to structure. So structurally, it's very hard. I'm glad we saw some stuff on Monday for it. We're going to look at this quickly on DEX tools, and you guys will see the current candle. And I'll pull this up real quick. Okay, here it is. So here's still the same 12-hour chart. Now here's our old high, and this is where we can start making some good assessment on this. So there's our flat. It's approximately there. That's where we want it to be. We need some closes above here. And is that going to fulfill what we're looking for? Yes. We want to be careful. Take a look at the candle here. You got a strong candle that's still pressing up against that area. We went all the way high and came all the way back down, right to where? To the resistance we were talking about. So this area is going to be still a strong resistance. It was hit once, it was hit twice, but we got one close that was just in the last 12 hours. So ideally, we will now want structure here on the down move. So if you get it, this is again the star that I gave you guys on Monday. Does everybody get that? Okay. Still the star we're looking for on Monday. It's approximately above the old high on the 12-hour chart from August 27th. Approximately. Okay. Right there. All right. Does anybody have any other questions? BNBFROG. Okay. It's the same analysis from Monday. I'm sorry I didn't get filmed. All right. So that's going to be all BNBFROG. Now let's go to the next one, and I'll point you out. All right. So we're going to do XDB. XDB, I noticed some weakness appearing on XDB. There's some big areas where I'm really looking for the big entry on XDB. It's the previous one I told you guys a few weeks back. It's going to be around 0036. So we just highlighted again. There's nothing new about this chart is to know that except for that weakness is starting to continue to appear. The first weakness is being under this green line a few days ago, and then actually was this a date? Yeah, a few days ago, and then the next weakness being underneath there. If that fails and this weakness fails, we're going to be coming down properly to a support. Is more like the case. So that's the one I gave you guys the last time, and that is the one I see playing out. These candles being in this area are very negative for XDB, but remember, XDB is a long game. It's a very long game. The professional buying came over several months at these prices. This block in blue is where the professionals started really buying. So this is some initial buying back here in July of 2023. Here's some buying in July of 2024. Here's a no demand situation in the March to May of 2025. And now that we're here, we don't have a really strong incentive to come to 28 to 20 cents, 00028 to 00020 cents. But rather the parabolic that is being created by this and the sword cuts there of those larger health. So there's a larger down move in XDB, and that's going to give us our base at 00036. So again, it's very high from where we are right now, but I gave you guys that back on September 17th. I said a candle absorption of this time has not occurred, so they have not absorbed. Look to phase through the pink, and so that's what happened. We phased through that pink. And then I said, look to stay relatively around 0064. This can happen until the end of October 15th below, and then 000604 is the weakness. So right now we're below that number, so that's our weakness. So this is all of our weakness trigger that we have taking place. I give you guys a few other things on September 22nd. Just on Monday, I said this health did not yet occur. It needed to be above the 067. However, weakness did appear. This means that campaign is not ready for its next move. So anytime you see professional accumulation campaigns, but the up move is on decreasing volume, or they're not supporting the move, that means they're not ready to launch the campaign up. It's a very logical conclusion you can make. We see this all the time. If they're buying, but the up move has no professional interest, then what happens is they're not ready to launch it. They want more at the price that they paid for. Does that make sense? If they're paying here, and when they raise the price, they're like, we're not playing. They're going to let price gravitate back to the places where they can accumulate more, and you'll see them ready. Now, if they absorb all at that level, and there's another move up, but they're not interested again, look for support at another level. In this case, it's not going to be here. So it's generally not going to be here because that's where all the absorption take place to no demand in the background, or very low demand right there at the bottom before the push. You're probably going to be looking for here. So that's why I'm really going to be there. But XDB is going to be a crypto that I'm looking for several hundreds of percent because of the professional accumulation. But you need to know that it's not ready yet, okay? So we did target system. Target system gave us another target at 0046, 003, which is more viable right now than sword cut. I'm looking to get down there. It's about 26% down from this entry. So I'm looking for it to come down 26 cents in value. There should be no real changes on XDB. from Monday. Does anybody have any other questions? XDB. Yep. It's just falling, see? So we're looking to get to our target, and right now it's starting to move. Okay? Does that make sense? That's why we're expecting it to come down. All right, let's go to the next crypto that was missed. Also, by the way, also told everybody, remember there's an alert that was previously created here. And we had done that from our previous sessions before Monday. So that was several days ago. It will be our previous session. And we just moved it up forward along that track. So again, that's where I really want to be notified so I can buy some when we get there. Create your alert as well there. We looked at DOGE. DOGE has a chance at 2.5, but the parabolic is really nice. So I'm going to be paying attention to that parabolic in those areas as a support. This crypto has had proper reversals into health with absorption, reversals into health principle. This is a good sign, and this is a good sign. There were actually two healths explained in today's video. Please be aware that the large oscillation has a top currently closer to 135. So 135 in the sky is the larger move. The next breakout is above 33 cents. We really need a move above 33 cents to really indicate we're going higher at this time. Otherwise, 26 cents 26 cents is going to be near support. Next resistance 44, 48, 54. So we got some issues to deal with in the sky when we get there, but ultimately DOGE has to break out into those healths up there. Otherwise, we're going to be looking for a floor for DOGE. Since Monday, I think we're going to be hitting that parabolic, so that should be where we're at. And I'll just pull it up here so you guys can see any new update. And yep, we're going to be looking for our lower number. This number needs to come. I need to label that number, 22 cents for the support. Okay, so that's our big health above 33. Look for these things. This is your larger long-term support line in green. Okay, it's going to be approximately there. And then also I should put one on here, shouldn't I? Okay, so you guys have all of that to recreate this map. And you guys can get your exact numbers. Okay, I'm going to now continue that photo recap. So here's our supports on DOGE. I drew my star along that yellow parabolic. We're not there yet. Again, as we just saw, we're almost there. 22 cents. Okay. Anyone have any other questions for me regarding DOGE? Okay. We looked at this crypto called BMNR, large downtrend here, price challenging the flat multiple times, but no professional accumulation. I said without professional accumulation yet, possible identified selling. It appears that the sellers are those who lost money. This was much higher. This is not new buyers looking for profit, it's old holders. This means you will see sharp moves at upper resistances or targets. This was a stock. I'm looking for the stock to reject at 81 or $535 to $350. Very wide spreads. It moves approximately 200% in a single day, in a single week. Very dangerous spreads. The candles do not make sense like this individually, so you have to read them only structurally over longer periods of time. And this is 2007, 2008, 14, 15. This is a very large stock. Okay, so I'm not so much concerned about these local healths until we can get some structure above 81, and then we'll go forth from there. But otherwise, 81 over the next months is going to be my next big resistance for BMNR, the stock. And it's bearish at the moment. Okay, based on our findings on Monday. For USDT.D, I looked at USDT.D. Remember, we're in a larger downtrend, hunting your up moves, your weakness. When this moves down, cryptos move up, but it spends a lot of time moving up, doesn't it? Very short time moving down, although it's making headway. Okay, it's making progress, but a lot of that time is spent just consolidating. Here's our last big moves. We're watching this black line with much interest. Some closes on above this black line on the weekly chart are going to see us back to sword cut areas right about where this black flat is. So I was explaining this area and I pointed out this. I said, you are here, pointing to right there. this is getting into this territory. We don't have any closes on the weekly chart, so we're still optimistic. But on the daily chart, you can see that we're already above here and pressing up against the sword cut. My big resistance is closer to the target in the sky, 497, 488. This doesn't mean we're crashing. I don't believe that's what's happening. We're crashing, but we should be looking to get up there. Now, we also have the higher side of the sword cut, which is around 470 to 460. So anywhere from 470 to 497 on the higher side, or 488 the lower side. Those two areas are where I really believe that USD is going to be going. So that was our Monday chart. Okay, that was what I gave you guys on Monday. Now, let me look today. Also, the event line gave us one more piece of the puzzle. This is going to be our last event line. If we are indeed closing above here, we're going to be looking to get some resistance and some rejection along that track and that angle. So we place that on the board. In yellow, it says EV. So ultimately, the board would look like this. We either break above, face through, and then we can hit that, or we just face right through over a longer period of time into December of 2025, or we break into the next move down. The next move down is really what triggers the next bull run. It's because we're already building on that along that flat several times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 times we need to be building underneath 419. So that's going to be a very telling. So in my opinion, I think we're going to be getting up to the higher areas, but also look for us to reject at the EV. So let's pull that up now so you guys can all have that. Remember, that was what we talked about on Monday. So right now we're in a very messy, delayed period. People are saying, hey, is it going to be an up week or a down week? I cannot say. All I can say is it's supposed to be somewhere in this territory, and that's relatively negative on the weekly chart only. So I would be expecting some bearishness with some closes in this area on the daily chart. And yes, on Monday we did get our first close in that territory. Let's pull it up real quick so you guys can see it live, the new update from this week. There it is, and there you are. So we're pressing against the EV right now. We did get that close on Monday, and then there's September 22nd, and we're here. If I can reject all the way back down, again, we got to still be very optimistic on the weekly chart. We don't have any closes that tell us we're still going to be permanently up here. So I'm not looking for a big crash in the market. If you break above your downward health, and the black line was changed to white because it's better to see. But if we break into health, and here's the weekly chart. Okay, so here, all of this is still telling us we're still playing down here. This candle could still get slammed down, and we can be making a mad dash for our 3.78 and our 3.52 number. So I'm not so panicked just right now, because if you break above, the next place of rejection should be your event line. That's your event line, so we duplicate it and place it, and that tells you where the resistance should be. Therefore, it's there at 462. All right, so that's where that's our short-term goal. Above here, then we're going to be getting to that range between our target and the top of sword cut. Until then, we really don't have much there. So I'm not so panicking the market just yet. I will look at one more thing, because we've challenged this line 3 times. 1, 2, 3. We can. The volume is low right now on this bar. We will be able to have an important piece of information on Saturday if the volume is relatively low into Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and the volume is so low, then we have reversal bars. We'll have reversal bars, the makings of a reversal in this area, and we'll still be looking to come down to challenge 419 and make the close. We need the deal below that line. Get me below that line. But the volume right now is trending in the right direction at the challenge to say that the sellers would win and we would knock this back down. At the moment, we're only on Wednesday, so we still got a lot more volume to go. So I cannot make the assessment about this candle right now. At the moment, I'm just letting you guys know it's natural for us to play at 462. All right, so look for that to go up again over the next few more days, because we really technically can have a little more room to hit it. All right. SOLOGENIC for the photos. I showed you guys I like photogenic. We had some professional buying coming in. We did not have a strong professional selling. The high volume was actually a push into these areas. We came up, came to that area. We did have some high volume here, but I don't believe this volume is enough to offset all the buying that came in here. This candle does not negate all of the buying, so therefore the professional players are still in. We also have this coming on right now. We have a down move into health and another down move. We're looking for the next health for SOLOGENIC. That's going to be what I'm really looking for right now from Monday. So this was our images. They're already uploaded our image notes for Monday, and I put possible pushing in this area. We identified maybe that smaller volume right here is going to be some pushing because of where it's at, but we need this health to confirm. We don't have the next health. Okay. We also were looking at this as possibly more buying on this second as we examine this down move here. Okay, more buying possibly coming in for SOLOGENIC. The move I'm expecting up to its DP close to 1,526%, but as we measured a little bit more later in the session, we were saying that it's actually a flat. So we did the flat on the larger area from here to here and the bottom, and therefore we're DPing that oscillation. The number is actually $6 to $5. So 638, 586, that's where I'm looking to get. And then we also saw Josiah gave us some prophetic numbers that he's been hearing from some of his communities of people who are following SOLOGENIC, and they're expecting good things. So current price 30 cents, $6. It's going to be good, but again, we need a health to trigger many of that. We looked at ICP, and I was not impressed with ICP. I see weakness, a lot of profit taking on this crypto without the professional buying. So when that takes place, I'm generally looking for these type of cryptos to fall. I see the sellers absorbing the principles we use, so we're looking for this to fall, and sure enough it fell, or it's falling in my opinion. We did 2 targets. We're sitting underneath one. I'm going to be looking to sit underneath another, and then we'll go down here. The buying here was offset by the sellers here, so we're definitely looking for this to at least come back to the flat. Okay. SHX, we did see, I only mentioned this at the end of the session, but we have a very large up move long term. This is September of 2023, November 2023. Large volume buying came into this crypto. This crypto continues to perform, and although it hasn't been added to the long-term accumulation list, we don't have much areas of continued accumulation. We also don't see the profit taking based on those buyers who initially got in. I do not see it offset in here, so I'm looking for SHX to continue moving up. In addition to that, I measured this flat on the monthly time frame, so this is a very large monthly flat that I'm looking at for SHX. And what it tells me is that this is an area where we wanted SHX to pull back for good prices. I had an alert that was created. It let me know, and I let you guys know the price was approximately 0.017. So price hit there just the other day. We should have nice good time to buy along the track while this is still in health. So I want to be looking to get into those areas. Also, Lisa had told us that she highly suspected that when a crypto becomes non-fungible, it's going to, historically, it turns into an ISO in a short amount of time. It meets the ISO standard. So once it's labeled as non-fungible, it's basically as good as turning to ISO. And she confirmed that yes, it did turn to ISO, and they backdated it from the date when they said non-fungible. So look for cryptos that say non-fungible, because that means that they're going to be most likely part of the ISO registry, which means they're going to meet those standards, and those are the cryptos we're going to be looking to do well in the future. So I like where SHX is at this time based on its longer stuff going on. Okay, and that's going to conclude all of our recap for this on the missed video session. All right, I'll give you guys my comments on XRP. All right, so the first one we're going to look at is XRP, and right there. And what I found yesterday, just taking a look at XRP, I wanted you guys to have it. And this is, I'll show you my screenshots, and we'll show you guys the post. Okay, so there's XRP. Here's a better look at XRP. Okay, so I was taking a screenshot, And what we found, remember, we have more of a parabolic type of shape on XRP. We're actually looking to come to a leveled out area somewhere where it becomes flat. The other thing about XRP is that I'm looking for it to hit its lower targets. Our target system is very accurate. Very accurate. I love target system. It's very simple, especially when you can plot it on a map and it starts to make sense with the map. But we have a few other tools in our belt to get a good indication of what's happening. Now we have this watch line here, and this is a health for price, but price is still falling down the mountain. Now we have this bottom. We hit here 1, 2, and 3, so we can actually look for the absorption principle. If I see the volume is increasing at these areas on the subsequent challenge A, B, and C, then that means that the buyers have not controlled the supply in this area. They are getting swamped and overwhelmed. When that happens, that means that that means the person challenging, whether it's a buyer or seller, is going to lose. In this case, because it's the bottoms, this is going to be the buyers. So we're measuring the buyers here, and we looked at the volume, and I saw the volume, and I was like, oh, look, there's an increase, and the day wasn't even done. The increase has some pressure on the upside, so we know it's more part of the team of buyers. But because that volume is higher than the previous challenges, that means the supply at this area is increasing. In short, that means too many traders are willing to trade at this price, and it makes it expensive for higher prices at the moment. If it's about equal, you're going to see prices pay, but when you play in those areas. But when it's increase, especially if it's increase, that generally means you're going to see the support broken, and price needs to come down until a more acceptable level. And this is why I believe we're going to get to 265 to 255 for XRP. Price was 284, and I was just looking at this when I noticed, but this is the principles we teach you guys Wednesdays in our sessions here on Wednesday, right? That's our tutorial. So I broke it down for you guys here in this video. I put this as area A, B, C, and D. And you can see the volume from A to B is approximately equal. From B to C, there's still an increase, or if we're grouping these C's an average, we're going to be saying those are equal. But from C to D, there's an increase. So on average, A equal to B equal to C, those two averages, and C equal to D, it's not. It's increasing. So they're not absorbing the supply. Every time they are spending money to buy there, whoever they are, the large traders that we're measuring, they're failing. Okay, so this right here was a test to see, has the supply dried up? And the supply hasn't dried up, so you're going to see prices continue to go down. Generally, this is going to be the case. The thing that would change that is it moves above approximately $3, which is the health based on the new structure. So this is going to be the structure here in the sky, up here, this one right there. That would be this next one here, and then finally going to be here, and that forms a green line. So we got a green line. We need some structure above there. So until then, this is a large, very large oscillation. Current price is only 285. So again, somebody asked me, how low do you think XRP is going? Is it going to go to 230? I don't think we're getting to 235, but we're getting awfully close if we're going to be getting there. So I would, in my opinion, I would be looking for XRP to come down. You got to be careful with over trading in those areas. So let's pull up XRP right now, and you guys can see the principle live. And I hope again this makes sense for you guys. So I think it was Bitstamp. Yep. So there's the close. The candle closed. The volume is still much higher, but relative to where? To these areas. So therefore, I'm going to be looking for us to get down here unless we can build above this area here of health. And even then, I'm going to be looking for us to challenge this flat at 276 one more time. So we're going to just move this down the track, and you guys will have that oscillation. So I'm not so convinced this is the time for XRP to be launching higher at the moment. Our resistance is around $3. We need structurally to be above $3, but I'm going to be focusing primarily on a weakness. I'm not convinced this is going to be because of the volume principle. Absorption has not taken place. Let's put that in also in our call out. And then I'm going to put the text from our post on Patreon. Okay. So those were the photos. There was my post. And I'll just take that and put it in this box. This has been explained in detail. September, what's today? September 24th. Good. Okay. All right. Anyone have any other questions before I go? And that's basically the same thing I just said. So I'm looking for us to get here, and I'll put a big star there so you guys can have that. I'll just double click on this emoji. Going once. XRP going once. Going twice. Bearish. XRP, I'm bearish, looking for support. Looking for 2.65 support to 2.55. All right. Let's go to VELO. All right, VELO, big weakness coming through. Delayed territory messing us up here. We want some structures above the target that was hit. We're getting closes above, but no structures, nothing there. The next big thing we need to know is that the DP for this area has already been hit. Okay, so here's the oscillation we were looking, and that's going to be our target that we look for in the sky. It was hit approximately in January 2016. So that's also the area that price needs to beat for another proper health. So the next big health you need is going to be above in those areas. Something that we're also going to look for, this red line. What's this red line? And that red line is going to be an accelerated, a line that is showing signs of weakness. So we start accelerating after going up in this foundational area, but we started accelerating along this track, and what happened there is we are slowing down at that area. So right now this is acting like a big sword cut, also target based on target system. So price structure underneath here is actually bearish, quite bearish. Let's go to higher time frames to see if we can confirm any of that. On our higher weekly time frame, we can just see that railroad tracks, price getting up here and coming right back down. It's also rounding on the bottom into this area. That's negative. So let's pay attention now to this foundational area. That's going to be very critical for us. That's going to be our next big lines that we're going to pay attention to. And price is phasing below here. It's not good, not good. Okay, that's going to be a sign of slowing down, and then we're going to be looking to get closer to target here for a VELO. This is a weekly chart. We still got a week to close above here. Let's take a look and see where we're at. So VELO is a crypto. It looks like we have a large buying that had some buying coming in these days, and then some more buying coming in here on this down move here in the past. I do see high up bars near these areas, the volume, and that could have been profit. That's some profit taking here. And then we also had this one, supply absorbed, moved into health. We moved into our health here. And then where's our next big profit taking? It's going to be up bars here on ultra high volume, those days in December 2024. Okay. Where's the next buying that's coming in? I want to see large buying on here. Some more buying. Port. Okay, we can delete that one since that's done. Okay. Selling. Okay. All right. So I'm not going to be looking for this one to super perform right now. When I'm looking at these two tops in volume, you can see the volume coming down at the second challenge in two areas. The ultra high up bar, on the ultra high volume up bar, which is right here in December 24th. We challenged it again in January. The volume's lower the second time around. The move is into weakness. And this whole area is even less than this area, which was approximately in the same area. And this was from April 2024 on much higher volume. So the volume is depleting. This is the scenario for a reversal. If the move is into weakness, this is more confirmation that weakness is appearing. So in this area, to turn the tide, we'd really need price to give us some reason why we're going to be looking to go higher. Now that we have this bottom, I'm going to isolate it quickly and look at the volume 1, 2, and 3, or A, B, and C. Okay. I'll hide my chart so you guys can see this. We have an increase in volume at C. We should be challenging back to C, or into these lower areas. So I'm going to be looking for this to still be weak over the next few weeks, and then we can draw a weakness so we can confirm that it's actually taking place. That will be below this line. So this is going to be the start. That weakness that is going to appear, or possibly going to appear, will be the confirmation that you need to get down. So in my opinion, I think VELO's going lower. Okay, I think you're going to be able to get to a next low for VELO. Let's talk where the support would probably be. I don't want to put too much weight on this parabolic since we got a above and below scenario. So we're going to deplete that. Let's use our straights. Okay, so that was a DP. So I can borrow this one now. Okay, good. Okay, so this is going to stress 2 points from me. Probably based on event line at core, we're hitting the low side. So I'm going to be looking at 0064 and then the weakness underneath 0013. So I'm looking for this to lose about 100% in value if we phase into this weakness without the break into the bullish area. Yeah. So I'm looking for the weakness to start to appear soon. Now let me take a look and see if I have any other evidence for this to be the case. Yep, last time we were here, we're on no demand and we keep increasing in volume. All right. I'm going to show you one more reason why, but we're going to break it into two parts. Okay, the number I'm going to give you, 0.017 to 0.009, is where our support should be. So this will tell me most of what we need. So I need to give myself another weakness. Before we're getting here, I think we're getting here. And I'll draw it, and I'll show you in the volume. Should be very low at this place. I'll give you those 2 bars. I'll give you a number, just like the number AB. We'll call it 1A, and then B and C. Okay. Supply is still increasing or equal to. So there's a lot of reasons why we need to still be trading there lower. And if we are, most likely the price is going to phase and come challenge those areas. So if we don't get exactly, if VELO doesn't get exactly to 0063, I'm still going to be looking to get there. So I'll put my star there. That's where I put my star, where I think we're going to gravitate toward. But keep your eye also on this area. Watch also 6.2. Okay. 6.2, 6.4, somewhere around there. Okay. Anyone have any other questions? My opinion, my thoughts. Okay. Let me take a look at the. Lisa says, look at volume here on this chart, different here or a different scenario. Which exchange is that, Lisa?
I'm not sure. It's on Coin Paprika, which Coin Paprika usually pulls up the best
okay,
chart.
You got a weekly chart. Let me look at it right now. Hold on.
And I'm just trying to figure out why is it so different.
You got a lot of. You still got your profit taking on this crypto. Let me check. I'll give you your. I'll pull up that chart. They should be using an exchange for this, I think. So that's Coin Paprika. And I'm going to show the chart that Lisa's showing right now. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to get a larger event line as well. This will help me calculate that bottom, and I'll overlap it with my chart as well. Yep, still down there. Okay, it's about where we're expecting. And then the smaller weaknesses and shortcut. So we don't want high volume on the up bars and up moves, especially if they're into weakness at the shortcut. Unfortunately, we got them. Okay. So we see professional evidence of professional selling at those areas. Let's see. Actually, this volume is here, right there at that area. Why? What is there? I think I know. No. You got your step up 1, step up 2. Okay. Yeah, that's fine. You can. That's fine. That's there's something there. Okay, I'm happy with that. Yeah, I don't like the ultra high volume after the weakness appeared here. I don't like it on the top. The moves into weakness. Yeah, I'm still in the camp where we should be playing somewhere down here. And then I'll overlap that with my previous chart, the upper bar. So yeah, I'm still in that camp where I'm not looking for this to do right now. Oh, and I already did. Yeah. I already gave you guys that one. So yeah. More reasons why I'm looking lower. Okay.
So if I'm in a trade and I'm still in the green, I should probably I'm thinking about selling it. I'm thinking about selling it even though I've been holding it for a while, to put the money to better use, like maybe into SHX or something else. What do you think?
In January, I said we identified buying in VELO longer term. However, the large story indicates that price volume is slowing down. This indicates there may not be major long-term up move yet, or longer-term sustainable. I meant to put sustainable move. We can also see on the small time frames the market is moving up in harmony and down on lack of interest. This suggests that if we move up, we may, but not longer term. This also is consistent with other VELO moves. So we're still looking for this to really not give us anything that's telling us we're super going up long term right now. The timing. I would, if you're really on the fence, give yourself a few weeks to see if you get the weakness. Give yourself a month, right? If you're going through here and you start phasing through, you got one support based on your EV, okay, your more smaller EV, which is here, okay. Then the larger EV is going to be underneath here. So this is acting a lot like a reverberation, but it's still within the rules of your more local top, this one and this one. So it can prop you up a bit. But by the time it does, you can have some weakness, and then you may be on the underside of there, okay? So you could basically phase through into weakness and still go up and give yourself a good exit price with more confirmation. It basically buys you a little bit more time to be a little bit more on the fence. You can let it play out. So if you phase without going up this week, weakness, then you got a support here, and you can afford to do that because it could probably bring you back up, and you can exit at a good price with still being in the weakness. So then you can let price come down, cool off, hit its targets based on target system, and then you can walk away with more VELO later on. But I would hold it on to it a bit and then wait for that. If I had not had it, I wouldn't buy it at all right now. No, it's not in a good spot. But that doesn't mean I'd short it. Okay, that's just my opinion. Okay, all right. Can we move? More questions, thoughts, comments? All right. Easy. Yeah. Yeah, I can. Looking for lower prices. This has a few supports, but I suspect weakness entering. OMNI. All right, I'm gonna look it on Binance here, and we'll go to. It looks like we got the start of the launch, so that's gonna be most of what we need. Professional buying coming in. Strong shakeout bar into health. That's gonna be definitely a strong shakeout bar. Those ones make me nervous because it's ultra high volume in this area. I want to clear that area. It's not in the spot I want it to be based on the foundational area. This makes it dangerous. I'll show you. Look. You got buying in the background, but if you have such a large shakeout bar near to these weakness, it's possible this is also profit taken by any buyers. Now, ultimately, we're going to need to see, because it's within the same area of buyers. So I wouldn't say these are buyers. It could, I don't see why they would be pushing it so hard right now with the top being so high. You generally would only want to have pushed it if you got to a no demand scenario. Maybe they thought that was it. Why would you throw a lot of money at it here, chasing candles? I think there's big profit takers here. Let me check the percentage.
Do you think this is just what's happening on that exchange?
If you can find out another exchange, the same story, then you basically got what you need.
I'll check.
Yeah, this shouldn't be sellers, so this should be shakeout. This is going to be shaking out weak holders, most likely. I want to take a look at this on smaller time frame. And nothing smaller, since the candle structures stop making sense. If I go to a daily chart, it's going to look really weird. Okay, so let's go back to where it's smoothed. And it's about right here. Okay, this makes a little bit more sense. Alright, here's my down move into weakness. And there's my sword cut. So there should be profit takers here. That makes sense now. Okay, good. That's what I'm trying to find out. What the heck is all this volume here? Who is dumping it here? Why exactly there so much to the imbalance? That was these traders who were bullish. They lost money for a long time. That's their best profit taking zone. Sword cut. It's a psychological area. Okay. I am satiated. Okay, this is large profit taking / closing position. So this is just going to be supply that is going to eat up most of this. And these guys were out of the game for a long time. October, and they were out since January. So they've been biting at the chomp waiting for this to come back. So therefore, the question becomes, is the buying enough to overcome this? I don't think so. Nope, it's not. I'll show you. Here's your first buying. We'll call this area A. Small professional buying. And then we're going to call this area B. The relationship from A to B is increase. See the down moves? Look at the volume still here. So the relationship from A to B is one of increase. When you see that happening, that means the supply has not been absorbed, even if the move is into health. There's your health. If the move is into health, but you have not absorbed from A to B, then you're going to be challenging that area price. It's not sustainable long term, even if you go up into health. So you look to challenge those areas again. The trading activity will come back down to those areas. So we look to there. So we'll start narrowing it down. 1.80, 1.25 is the VZB. And I'll say look to challenge here. Okay, so in the future we're going to be looking to challenge here. So therefore, where it would behoove us to look for our weakness. Now we got a smaller bounce there, right? So we would be looking therefore at a structure that was more parabolic in nature. So we can plot our weakness a little bit more faster. It'd be somewhere under here. So structures below there would start being the ones that indicate we're going down. We'd also, if we were trying to short this or exit, we want to look at the best prices. So I definitely want to be concerned with that green line. That needs to be green, by the way. So we can start using that to start looking to try to build. But until then, I'm actually looking to be bearish. Okay, personally. So for OMNI, I'm going to be looking to get back to the VZB, which is those prices. Okay. Any questions so far this crypto? Questions, comments, thoughts? $5.29 for health, $3.38 for next weakness. We're still in the downtrend. This would be the up move I would hunt, especially with large profit taking twice. And by the way, if this is profit taking here, this might be enough. These two bars are so high, they might be enough to offset the sellers. So we would need a proper bottom. So I'm going to put that in my notes here, and that'll be the final commentary. September. This crypto had some buying, but I believe it has been offset / canceled out by large profit taking. This means that if weakness occurs below 3.38, this crypto would need a proper bottom and some accumulation. Next health currently is above 5.29 areas. I am not bullish this crypto in this downtrend without a proper bottom. Okay, so that's how I feel about that crypto. I want a proper bottom. Look for it to be somewhere there. Oh, I need to say this. Look for this to build near the 226 to 1.40 VZB area in the future. Also, because the supply at the VZB has not been absorbed / controlled, this makes the case for bearishness more than bullish breakout, more than bullish breakouts. So remember, the increase in the relationship tells me we're most likely going to play here rather than break the downtrend. Okay, I'm going to look at XAH. I've never seen this crypto. XAH. This is a crypto? Oh, no, I haven't done it. Axua Network. Okay. Crypto.com, Coinbase, Bitmart, BitTrue. Let's use BitTrue. Good. Okay, there's something we can work with. Strong activity. Okay, let's check another exchange. Let's look at Bitmart. No new data. CoinEX. Only till this March 2025. That's weird. And let's look at the structure on crypto.com. Okay, so it looks like I only got back till November with all of these. And it's not going to give me anything really that new, except for we have a large, smooth down move we can show for a health. So that's going to be quite nice. Hunting up moves. This move right here in June of 2025 is going to be a weakness, a sword cut. So let me see if I can take a picture of both of that. Oh, there's your sword cut. And then you got your large down move. It looks like it's going to be parabolic, so you definitely need a health. Okay. Crypto.com obviously doesn't have any volume. It never does, which is quite suspicious to me. So we'll go back to our BitTrue. A lot of volatility in this crypto. Bring our parabolic straight down. Bring our parabolic to mid-phantom. And signs for mid-phantom as well. That's beautiful. Quite nice. That's going to stress our oscillation. So I'm going to be focusing. Not focusing. We'll be focusing on the bottom 0074 and this breakout at 004. Is there signs of accumulation in this downtrend? Not the structures you want to see. You don't like to see that structure, but when you do see it, you want to phase through, especially with this weird bottom here in August. Very high volume just coming from the top here, but the move was into weakness. I think they were trying to salvage this at this area. Too much supply flooding this area. It moved into weakness. You actually may phase into a support. Look at the volume, just really trailing off at the challenge here, right there at this challenge. I'll draw it for you so you guys can see it. It's going to be about a flat. Somewhere in that area, and I'll do it in blue so you guys can have this. Look at the volume just at the challenge. There's absorption here. This is a good sign for this crypto. Now, it's still not my cup of tea, and I'll tell you why. We got a nice absorption and a decrease. So that means we're going to be looking to phase through in a positive way. So this is more indicative that we're going to be phasing through and up rather than seeing next weaknesses occur. Okay. The only thing I don't like about this is that we got this in the background, which still brings reasons to trade here. What I would like to do is VZB this area out, and we'll take a look and see if the support here, praise God. If it's above us, that's not good. If it's lower or there's no reason that it's there, then it's not good. Yeah, it's exactly there. And now it's above us. So yeah, that's not so good. Okay. So yeah, this is a very small and limited window for health to appear for this crypto. I don't know if you're gonna get it. It's nice. I bet RSI's pulled back nice too, by the way. Oh, it does not. It has not. Okay. RSI's pretty neutral here. Not so bearish either. You may have the makings of a bottom. I don't know if this is going to be enough to break out of these areas, because it's just not in the right spot. If it was lower here, I'd feel much better about it. If this activity with the absorption was happening here, it's like a fish out of water. Yes, it's happening, but it's not in the right spot. So I don't trust it at the moment. I'm going to have to wait for a breakout into health before I really get behind that move. Okay? And that will be my commentary for this. September 23rd, 24th. This crypto has some absorption at the 0.04 area. This is good. However, the current target is above and acting like resistance. And before I say that, I should say this is good. However, I should say the other stuff first. This is like a fish out of water. There is not a reason, there's not a structural reason why this bottom should build in this area. Keeping in mind the target is above and acting like resistance. This makes a case that the true bottom is not in. this is a good indication, however, that it is building. I would be looking for this downtrend to be slowing down soon. In addition, I would like clear professional buying. If so, and the move is into health above the yellow parabolic, I would be bullish. Until then, I think the bottom is not in. I highly suspect that. Okay, I'm not convinced. So I would be looking for this to still somehow challenge at least there. Or breakout. I need to rewrite that, the bottom. I think the bottom is not in. It may be, however, there's no evidence. There is not clear evidence. I need the breakout to change my view. Okay, yeah, just to change my view, I really want a clear breakout, and then I can feel more comfortable with an entry. Okay, not comfortable at the moment. Any other questions, my thoughts regarding this crypto? Step up. Step up. Yeah, not convinced. Let's go. Neutral. Okay, I'm neutral to bearish, but optimistic. Okay, so I'm neutral to bearish, but optimistic in OMNI, in XAH. Okay, silver. I'll pull up silver, and it's not so bad. You guys know we've been tracking gold and silver for quite a bit. Told people at the crypto conference, silver is bullish. Last year, it was looking very bullish. We've been looking at silver for quite a bit. These are going to be some of the major important areas. We tracked this parabolic here. It levels out. We duplicate it, places it here, and that's going to be an important area in the sky for us. It's closer to $56. Current price for silver, $44 and climbing. Our previous oscillations are going to be here and here. The DP for that should be, therefore, these prices. This should be where our resistance was, and this should be our breakout. You can see that we got our breakout in June of this year. So our breakout is in June. We're in a bullish territory now, being above this line. So very bullish silver. We also had some supports back on 27.28. I told you guys many times we were tracking those, watching this come into health. So all of those healths kept appearing, and this should actually be a little bit lower. So all those healths kept appearing, and now we're all in a new state of being very, very close to our targets. So we can clean up our chart quite a bit now. So let's clean up our chart. Okay, our alarms still going to be very bullish silver until we have a reason to not be. I'm going to give you guys some new lines here. Okay. And let's go to draw something new, and we're going to draw this right here. So let's fade some of these away. These can come all up to the side. I'm going to draw a parabolic for silver on this weekly chart. It's going to look like that. Okay. So we'll do it in yellow, and I'm collecting these bottoms here, and we're going to stretch it out into the sky and make sure it's balanced, and it's approximately there. So that's going to be the curvature that we're going to be looking. And we're going to take this curvature, and I'm going to move it up here, approximately collect these points. So moving straight up in the air, we're going to make sure it's lined up. And so now we have some confirmation along the top. 1, 2, 3, 4 confirmations at the top. So therefore our next local top is a strong dynamic positive along that track. It should be approximately $48. So I wouldn't look for silver to slow down until we're hitting about $50. So look for silver to hit about $50 in October. That's about the prices for the next top for silver in October. Plus our leveled out parabolic is going to be closer to 50, 53. We have a large flat, so if we come back down, I'm going to be looking for us to find some resistance around the 49 to 46 area. Current price 42. Silver still very bullish though until we get to those areas. All right, so that's how I feel about silver. Anyone have any other questions, comments, thoughts? My opinion regarding silver. Structurally, we should be getting there. Okay, weakness appears under here, then we can start looking. But until then, we still want to be very optimistically bullish for our silver. And my star is there, so that's where I believe my important number.
I got a question.
Yep.
Does this opinion hold valid for all commodities like gold, silver, and precious metal?
No. Sometimes they have to be taken each in its stride, but they can be used as an indicator of each other.
Okay.
Yeah. There's a lot of things that are connected. Just like, right, USDT.D doesn't control every crypto, but it's a good indication about where the state of things are. So you can use that like an indicator, but one indicator of its own is not enough to sway the argument. It does indicate some things coming up. Precious metals are always manipulated. So if you see silver going up, gold going up. By the way, what happens, does everybody remember what happens when silver is allowed to stay high for a long time? Anybody remember? Something really important in the world happens. Okay, the answer, go ahead, Lisa.
About the prophecy? When it gets over 50 in the banks, or?
It's not just a prophecy, but actually built into the monetary system. But yeah, prophetic, there's a lot of prophetic alignment. Something to do with dollar valuation. It's a very strong cascading event. Basically, I'll explain to you here, so you guys have it. Silver breaks the banks. Okay, silver cracks the banks. The banks manipulate precious metals very much. They basically get slapped on the wrist every few years. I think most notably Chase Bank was just a few years ago. I think it was like 4 years ago. And they get fined for billions, a few millions, but they make billions on the manipulation of the metals market. So they're actively trading against your interests, and they do things very shady in those ways. But it is said that based on the books, once silver is beyond a manipulable suppressed price, then it breaks them. And there's a lot of information down that rabbit hole. But we basically conclude that the banks are in deep trouble when they can't hold silver down for long. Now, we knew when silver was coming into health and sitting on top of its supports, it was only a matter of time before it goes up. This is the kind of structure that you wanted and we needed for silver. For several years, we were looking for that resistance to be broken, and it was broken above here when we started getting these structures into health, and they could only hold it down, but it's a losing game. They're definitely losing the game when they're trying to hold it down into these areas. Unless silver crashes again, the banks are going to be in big trouble, and the banks are going to be strapped for cash. They're going to be in a very bad position, and that's going to cause a cascading effect in the housing market, because already they're starting to feel the effects of too much supply in homes. There's so many homes that are just sitting on the books that they're not in good position to maintain that for long. So you're going to start seeing foreclosures happen. When foreclosures happen, especially if the median household income in the United States is not meeting what we can afford for those loans, then people start living off of credit, and they start living off their credit cards. And we can see that in the data that more and more Americans are barely meeting ends meet. It's only a matter of time before they stop paying their rent. When they stop paying their rent, the income from the banks by and far and large also goes down and they get strapped. So it becomes a cascading effect. Banks can no longer afford to offer good loans for people without stricter rules, because they're losing so much money holding on to so many properties that they're having just going into foreclosure. So we're going to start seeing a foreclosure event, and then the markets for homes are going to be coming down. So that's equity off the books of the banks. A lot of the cascading events that we're going to see are going to be playing out probably over the next 2 years. So in my opinion, I think you're going to see by this time next year large swing in the housing market. It's going to be very apparent if it's not already is. But you're also going to see that put the banks in a very, very negative spot, a dangerous spot. They are very close to breaking. And they've said this in their meetings. They said that we foresee that this is going to be very bad. And there was a very popular meeting that was done about a year ago, and they basically said when the people know this, it's done. So I think we're going to see some of the new gold come back to play. I think there's going to be some bad things on the horizon for the economy when all of these things hit a peak. And unless there's some kind of plan to save this situation as it is, I think the current system is going to crash. Also, I will talk more in the near future about my thoughts on the Russia releasing of the public speech. They said, hey, we're spilling the beans. We think that the United States is going to launch a large cryptocurrency plan to change their debt, $37 trillion, into cryptocurrency, and then they're gonna be able to devalue that currency and walk away with paying nothing on their debt. And I was like, oh my gosh, that makes sense. Because prophetically, we've been hearing about a great crypto crash. I saw mines in dreams, and I knew for a few years that it's linked to Tether. I don't know exactly the timing. I don't see it in the stablecoin, but I know that there's going to be some kind of crash that's going to be linked to Tether. Accounts for over 90% of all stablecoins in the world. And so what's going to happen, it's very possible that if the United States takes their debt and converts it into a cryptocurrency, a stablecoin, then that's going to have a huge portion, whether it's going to take the Tether money or it's going to take that and expose that the reserves are not in Tether, and if everybody's moving out of Tether, it'll crash. Or if they use Tether itself or some kind of thing like Tether, if the money goes into there and then they devalue that currency and crash it willfully down to pennies, then they can pay off the debt in pennies. Now, whether Trump's doing that, the white hats, the black hats, I don't know. But it would make perfect sense that at that time, if that crashes, that's going to really tank the crypto market. It's going to cause a widespread panic and fear for a very short time before the market stabilizes with some kind of new announcement, gold, plan, some kind of plan to save it. I think it's going to be gold, I highly suspect. So that's part of how that could play out. And so all of these things keep pointing to this culmination event in the future where things cannot continue the way they are without major changes, and I really suspect that's going to be a part of that. In those days, if things are at a top, if that's this year, I don't know if it's closer. I also know there's going to be some really strong links to foreign currencies acting to save or to try to save the game with gold as well. So you're gonna see currencies more linked to gold, and that's going to be revealed in the future. And there's going to be a mad dash to gold. And already we've seen that the countries in the last 4 years ramp up their gold buying. China really ramping up their gold buying. I think all the countries know that this is culminating into a big event, so they've been accumulating over the years. I don't know if it's enough. I really don't know if it's going to be enough for them to save the game, but they all know it's coming. So yeah, look for silver to play out its part in the game, and go down those rabbit holes about the silver connection to the banks and why the banks are breaking or why the banks will break, and all of those events that will cause a financial wealth transfer. And we want to be on the positive end and weathering the storm when the storm comes. Yeah, dollar revaluation. Josiah says, are we about to enter crypto bear market? No, I don't see that yet. I don't see it on the USDT.D. Short term only. But nothing like, this is not the big down movement. And you'll see my images on the USDT. I do have some good news about Bitcoin though. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Still bullish, still looking for 49. Actually, I'll just put 50 to 50. Yeah, looking for $50 and 56 to $53. Pay attention also to 49.61 to $46 for potential supports after moves to 50. So after moves to 50, we're going to pay attention to this flat, and the reason for that is because it's also an old high, so we want to build above there. So right now the parabolic is indicating we're going to be getting high, so therefore if we can get high and build on top of there, that'd be very nice for something more sustainable, and then we'd be looking for some prices for silver closer to the 70s. Okay, let's go on to AVAX Bitcoin on Bitfinex. Yeah, AVAX, I have an oscillation. It's very much like a cone shape on both sides. So that means our big health needs to appear after $43, a dynamic negative. So that's going to go down to this week. It's going to be closer to 41. So that's getting closer. Current price is $34. We also have lower supports and weaknesses that are going to be closer to, in a few weeks, closer to $18. I did Tiger analysis, a Tiger system. So that's Tiger supports based on our Tiger line, which is going to be approximately there, and then when we revert it back to the important places, that's going to give us a cause for a nice support or bounce at 16. If we do get those weakness, we got a nice safety net and a chance to get out of this crypto. If you were in this crypto, and you can let it face into here with looking at 16 for potential possible support. Okay, and then resistance is above the 41 is going to get us closer to the Tiger areas at 53. So we would be looking for some double tops coming up when that happens. We did gesture line last time. We showed that there was some health and supports that were starting to appear in this crypto. We did target system. The target was here, price knocked down, came back down to the larger support. But again, this larger one that's been building up over time. And it was there that price bounced quite nicely. The next target is here at $31 above there. So both of those were hit quite nicely. So we can fade those away. So those were nice and hit. So we'll bring those back. And then we'll delete the numbers. We don't really need the numbers anymore. Okay. The next thing that we'll leave the numbers on this one because it looks like price is going to be now building above this old target. So that's going to be quite nice. And that is actually a bullish thing to be building above the target. So we'll move these health to the right of the track so you guys can see these. So no longer is weakness now that we're in this area. This is a positive area, and this is going to give us some juice to get to the upside. I would be bullish to crypto like this on the weekly chart, another 17%. Current price again $34 to 41. Yep, I'm going to be looking on the bullish side for this crypto. We can clean up our chart a bit. Okay, we can use, since price is above our sword cut here where the resistance should have been, we can fade away our sword cut as well. Okay, so all of that is going to tell me that I'm paying attention to this area. Anyone have any other questions on my thoughts and opinions where I believe we're going to begin to next? So we're going to be bullish. I'm bullish on this crypto. By the way, you have a parabolic here, so you got a large area before the next weakness comes in. That's going to give you your support still about 28. Okay. Let me look at a few more things before I move. I'll let you go. For AVAX, nice absorption of supply, nice absorption. We were increasing in volume, so we should have challenged. Look at, see the volume, increase. Still relatively high. We challenged that area one more time here on lack of interest. No demand, low demand. No demand, low demand here. At the support, the move is into health. You got everything you need. That would have been your health right there. A, B, C, and D. The volume we just showed, the reversal principles. 1, 2, 3, 4, A, B, C, and D. So this is a good sign that we should be going up. The high volume is after the health on the down bar, but the move is to the right and up. So this is going to be buying that came in on July of 2028 week. So July of 2028 week, this down bar, that's going to be professional buying. Combined with this, I'm going to be viewing that as a pair. So this is going to be a positive area. Buying after the absorption take place, this is going to be the next best place to buy. It has to happen on a down bar or a down move, and the move is to the right and up. So we're looking for this to be positive. So this is a good sign for this crypto. This is a good sign. It's small buying, but it's enough that we should be going to the upside. I will note it on the chart. Small professional buying with absorption. Okay, I like it. So we're gonna fade. So again, I'm looking at 41. And does it have what it takes for a big breakout? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know at this time. We'll re-examine it once we get above 41. Okay, I'm going to be bullish. I'll write down that I'm bullish this crypto. Bullish till 41.89 area. BTC.D is a crypto that gives us a good look at what altcoins windows are, the altcoin windows. And as it is, right now, we've been looking for this crypto to come down to these two areas in pink. Okay, those are the areas we're looking to come down to. The health that appears is when we start getting above this downtrend that is here that indicates that's all the time you got. Now, ultimately, we have a target system that is here right around this area. And you can see that we've been looking for price to come down. We actually hit this target the week of September 8th. So all that's really needed was for this to come down, and then Bitcoin can wake up. And the word I used was, when we are into health, it's very possible we're going to wake up. So my target was here, and my health with a star was approximately there. So we hit there September. So I said, you guys, this is hit day. I didn't put the date on here, but we were hit. So we hit this, and I'm going to put September 8th week. September 29th vortex, price should make a decision this month. So what did price do? It's made a decision. The decision is to come into health. So the health is when we start building above this area, and we'll draw it a little bit more accurate. There you go. Okay. The decision is when we come into this health. So right now, phasing into this at a support is when this has a chance to wake up. So this means right now that Bitcoin has a chance to be dominant. So we're going to put complete. Bitcoin, BTC, has woken up and should be dominant comparative to the market, comparative to the larger cryptocurrency market. So this should now take a larger share of the holdings. Okay. So in September 6th, we had room. Okay, altcoins had a chance to move up. If they don't take in their chance in the window, if they don't have structure, some of them are not in health, then they're losing that window of time that we had. Now, I wrote this in September 13th. This is almost exhausted. 57 moves expected was hit today. So the 57 was hit. There it was. Okay, then I said, this means BTC is almost awake and ready to move if this can move into the next health above 58. So we're looking to get some closes above here. And right now, this candle has 4 days left. It's almost there. So I got to be careful saying this because on the weekly chart, we still have some, we have still some closes to happen. So I gotta just be a little bit careful. In addition, I have shown this area with a large green star. If price fades into this area over the next week or two, look for Bitcoin to take a large chunk of the markets. Altcoins may slow down during these days. So this candle, I'll put another update right here, September 25th, 2025. Health is appearing, needs close on weekly chart. and that's going to be Sunday, 8 p.m. EST. And the date is going to be Wednesday, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. September 28th. Okay. Anyone have any other questions for me? It's very possible the altcoin window is going to close soon. If this candle closes like this, then that means that Bitcoin is going to be looking to move and wake up. And you can see that that's when you're going to really want to pay attention to what Bitcoin is doing soon. Okay, we can talk about that on Saturday. So on Saturday, we'll look at Bitcoin. Any other questions? This crypto. BTC.D. Okay. Health is appearing. Needs a close. Okay. Watch that candle. Okay. All right, let's move on. Health appearing. Health appearing. Look for confirmation and a move next week, beginning next week in BTC. Okay, so we're going to be looking for a move possibly beginning next week in BTC. So we'll look at it on Saturday. We can get ready for it. The last crypto for today, TOSHI. All right, nothing new here. You guys had this map. It's pretty darn good. We mapped out the parabolic. I'll let you guys know where it was at when we were still down here. It gives us two ranges, the phantom range, 0.000938 and 00086. Price was rejecting strongly that week, or the day of September 17th. It went up and closed right where? At the parabolic. We needed health above here for the next move. It did not happen. You didn't get it. Look where you closed down. Now the lower parabolic, which is based on the cores, it's this one right here. I'll make it in big and blue and we'll make it dashed. But basically, that's going to be the meaty part. That's where you're at today. Okay, so that's where you're at today, closing here. So the time for health back in those days at 0006 is on our long-term accumulation list. You want to pay attention with those healths are first entering. Those give you the most strongest chance, and then you can watch for the next game to unfold when you're above the next areas of health. So we really need to be above 00097. We don't really got that. So 009793, you're not there. So no real reason to take a trade on this unless you're above there in a good spot. You may have a reason, but I don't have a reason to trade that. But that's where you want to be looking for the next area. Otherwise, you're looking for that area to be weaknesses and to come down, the same as a resistance. Okay, so right now that's your resistance area. We tracked it based on your key on the bottom. Okay, so we'll circle it so you guys can recreate it and you guys can have it. So there's your key angle, and there's where you place it, and there's your verifications. Okay, you just take the oscillation. So price needs to be above there, otherwise this is also verification that the oscillation is true and correct. The bottom of the oscillation is still down here at 005. I'm not saying we're going to get all the way down there, but if you had reasons, you would want to be looking there at the bottom. So TOSHI not ready for the next move. The move's already done, at least for the shorter term stuff. Now TOSHI, ultimately, this is on the long-term list, and I saw that the big players are in this and they have not exited. A lot like XHX, except for this one's a lot more closer to its entry relative to where the move is at. Whereas SHX is really high in the sky, but still no major profit taking. So I'm still looking for something like SHX. I think it is to do well. But TOSHI, you don't have the large profit taking, so you just need to continue waiting for those healths. Now, if this is a resistance, it's quite simple. We can track easily if we're going to be breaking above. If we're in this area again and we're challenging on higher volume, that means we should be gravitating higher. So we can do a few things for this. One of the things we can do is we can borrow this top and take it and start connecting the next top here. Basically, we can be looking for a health sometime still above the same areas, but with more confidence, now we have a backup support if we rejected here in the past, which we did again on September 17th. So the health here is only going to be strengthened, and you want to be paying attention to that health when we get to that range of 00093. So let me put this leveled up parabolic in the back, and then I'm going to do that volume for you guys so you can see what I'm looking for. So I'm going to hide my drawings. We'll give ourselves a few less candles by going to a 2-day chart, and then I'm going to pull up the volume. And what I told you I'm looking for is in the VZB or volume zone block. If we challenge there, we're looking to increase in volume so that any sellers are losing. Okay, so the sellers at this area, they need to lose. We got A, I have B, and maybe C here. Okay, so we'll do B and then I'll do C here. Yep, we can do that. And then we'll label this as D. Okay, so what you want for seller is the condition for sellers to lose. Not losing condition. For the sellers to lose, the volume has to not be absorbed or controlled. So for this to not be absorbed or controlled, you need a increase in volume, number one. Number two, you need equal to volume. Or number three, you need aggregately high volume. So those are the three scenarios that tell you are losing condition. If the sellers are losing, the resistances or them holding back, them holding it down is going to only result in them losing. Okay, so you'll see a breakout. In this case, that would mean higher prices. Here we have area A, and you can see the volume was approximately here. Okay, so this is where sellers first started taking profits. So they started taking profits in this area, and they hid them in caves, like the Bible says. Like the one servant of the Lord said to Elijah. I took the profit and hid him in caves. Okay, here's the next selling, B. And then here's the next selling, C. These are still aggregately high according to their averages. Okay, so there's profit taking here, and they challenge again on this day, but look at the volume. Very strong increase in volume, and it's even higher than previously. See? Does everybody get that? So far, look, it's higher. Even though it's relatively the same area of price. So it's telling us when they tested it, the market wants higher prices, and the sellers are not able to hold it back. So this is actually a very good thing for TOSHI. Now TOSHI could find support at a flat based on those areas, which it may be doing, but it can also find a flat at the larger parabolic, which you guys already have, and that's back to the entry prices. So those are the two areas we know. You already have that on the board, but that's going to signify two areas. Here, in addition to the parabolic that we already have, which is up there. So now we have three new healths we can look for. But either way, it's telling us TOSHI's in a good spot. We're looking for higher prices. So I like that. I really like that a lot. Sellers losing condition, and I'll add this as the text so you guys have this. Does anybody have any questions as I'm writing this? According to this data in the VSA, volume spread analysis, in the volume, I can see that at area D, there is an increase in supply at the challenge area. this has two previous aggregately high volume areas in the background. This type of test indicates that the market wants higher prices. There are two more supports revealed in this analysis. There's one more support, I should say. One more. Two more. One more support revealed in this analysis in addition to the current two supports slash entries, because these are also entries. Okay, and then I will show you the exact number and you guys can have that, and we'll move on for today. I think that was all I had today. In addition. That's not how you spell addition, is it? There it is. So again, the it's going to be above the flat, above there, and above there. So I'll show you on the official chart right now. We'll put back on our lines and you guys can have it all. Okay, the flat. Oh, the flat's already there. Yeah, approximately, right? It should be a little bit more. We'll cover this range, okay? So the average is going to be, it's going to be this one, 7.2. 3072, 3056, and again that one up there in the sky, which is above 0093. So if you could pay that price, 0072, great. If you can pay 0056, great. It's indicative that we're going to be going higher in the future at the next health. So the next healths are again going to be above this flat or down here. And I'm thinking that it's going to be a great thing. Again, I'm looking to get to much higher prices, as I've said in previous videos. 7.3 is going to be one area I'm going to be looking for. And I'll give you one that's more practical too, by the way. A new target that's more practical. It's about the same area. Should be about the same area. Simply going to parabolic this and level it out. I hope this blesses many of you guys. It's going to be somewhere in the sky. Okay. I need to update this line. Yeah, there we go. Okay. So still somewhere in the sky, 7.3. I'm looking to make several, a lot of percent from current prices, 700%. So that's where I'm looking to get. As I've mentioned this before, it's very high. Hundreds of percents. All right. I bless you guys. Anyone have any other questions for me before I close the video for today? Bullish indications for higher prices appearing.
Can we take a screenshot of you have a bullish list, you said? Not a bullish list, but
a professional accumulation list. Yeah. In every one of our, you don't really need a screenshot, because in every single one of our posts, I've been including it. So I'll show it to you guys here. So here's our image nodes from September 22nd. Click show more, and there's your list. Okay, with updates. Vader added to radar on the 20th, and September 20th, weakness appearing for XDB. This triggers entries that supports see below. So when you go down to XDB, you'll have it. So it's more than just a screen, but you have this, right, Lisa?
Yes.
Okay.
I guess I don't go that far down.
Okay, and then you guys just scroll down, you'll see all the way 1 through 13. Okay, and my 3 that are on the watch list. Now, Vader should be a long-term accumulation, but we need some more confirmation. I'm very short-term bearish Vader. Okay, no entries yet, but once we fall, we're going to look at the volume, we're going to confirm it, just like we're going to do for PNG and Elwolf. So those need to be watched after their next fall and then these things are being bought up. If you're paying attention to the long-term accumulation list, remember this list is being built up sometimes over several years for some of them. For some of them, it's much smaller. Some of them, they're already in health. Some of them need a little bit more, that are more closer to probably to the radar. But most of them have all that is needed for professional accumulation. Signs that the big players are entering these cryptos, or they have already entered some of these cryptos. So some of them we're going to be looking to do very good. And some of them are also on the prophetic list. As opposed to something like that moves fast like BNB Tiger, I really want to see larger accumulation stuff. Then those cryptos will do well. We heard prophetically. They're not my cup of tea because I can't track them as well. But I can track cryptos like this really well because we have a lot of structure. We have a lot of things in the pudding, so it makes them less fickle once they start their run. Most of these cryptos have not really started their run. A crypto like SHX also has large accumulation again, but I cannot put it on the list at this moment because we're just so far from that entry that I don't feel comfortable saying anything about that. Now there are entries on SHX for those who are already on, but we did add SHX last year. We talked about it saying it does have professional buying coming in, but before we had a professional accumulation list, all we had was a bullish list, but it's bullish is very subjective to time frame. I narrowed it down to just criteria. The criteria I'm looking for is large ramping up in volume or micro volume, individual down bars with high volume with health in the background. So I like those moves into health. Most of these cryptos have the large accumulation though. They have the nice ramping up in volume, and I hope that really helps you. These are just great ones to watch, and some of these have like thousands of percents that are on the table, like thousands. Some of them that we just did today for the crypto, which TOSHI, that one only 700%. So some of them are really good. Something like XDB, I'm very excited about XDB, but again, very short-term bearish, as I told you guys here, short-term bearish. So if you guys want the updates, if I do look at big ones here, sometimes I'll put an update if I add it to here, such as weakness appearing on this crypto. XBD. Things like WikiCat are already on the list. Fantastic accumulation compared to something like a B Tiger. So I really would feel more comfortable with WikiCat than a BNB Tiger or BNB Lion, but they'll probably do good in the future, both of them. It's just one's much more better to track. And if you guys are a Dive Tier member, just go ahead and look at my list and you'll see all of that. Just click on the image notes. I've been doing them for every single time I do image notes. Father, we thank you for this wonderful group of people. I thank you for the word this morning, and I pray that you would just bless our journey. And I pray that we would seek you for confirmations for all that we do. I pray that you would guide us through the markets and help us. I thank you for the peace, and I pray that you would bless all the works of our hands. Put your heart in the midst of everything we do, Lord. Your will, your desires, your love for the lost. Lord, we thank you for everything that you are doing. You are the purpose of our life. You're the reason why we live. Our life is meaningless without you, and apart from you, we can do nothing. But with you, with God, all things are possible. Thank you for your kingdom. Thank you for your power. Thank you for your authority. Thank you for your victory. Thank you for your mercies and for your strength. We love you and we bless you. Sing over us, O Father. Sing over us. In Jesus' name, amen.